Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Cocktails and Rocktails with me, your most notorious groupie, Alice Rouse, author of this little guy right here. These other little books where you can get that My Funny as Hell merchandise, get down in that description. Brand new addition to the merchandise is my Sweet Connie memorial t-shirt because she rocked. And what rocks is you guys always just being so cool, so awesome, such an amazing family here. All the new people just enjoying and having fun and just engaging in conversation. Just welcome to the family, you guys. And thank you to the family that has been around all this time coming along. Just, you guys fucking rock. I really truly do appreciate you 1,000,000%. Like, it's just, I like I said, I'm just so grateful and thankful every day for you guys. Truly. And today what I'm thankful for is a few things. I'm thankful for my shoes because a lot of times they would lead me away from people I didn't like. And living in Vegas, I loved living in Vegas 8 years. 8 years in Vegas, you're going to meet a lot of people. And we're going to talk about some of those again today. And today we are going to be having a little bit of Crown Royal. The whiskey lemonade. I've been sitting on this one for a while. And the reason I haven't drank it is because I just did not like the Jack Daniel one. That left a bad taste in my mouth like Kip Winger, man. And yeah, so sitting down this one, I'm like, all right, we'll leave it today because kind of goes with today's theme. Some people just leave that tart flavor in your mouth. You're ugh. So, okay, everybody, squeeze your lemons, kick up your feet, and let's have a little cocktails and rocktails using the glasses that Kristen bought me today, or gave me today. All right, everybody, cheers, big ears. Ooh, I like this one way better than the Jack Daniels. So much better because the Jack Daniel was just so Jack Daniel-y. And I'm just not a big fan of Jack Daniels. I'd rather, Basil Hayden's, whatever, do something like that. But Jack Daniels is an easy go-to, but it's just not my flavor. And that one is just way over lemony. But this one, super smooth. The Crown Royal, super good. Really like that one. There's actually lemonade in it. You can taste it rather than just the Jack Daniels. So awesome. I highly recommend that one. And today, before we get into the episode, I'm going to start you with a little surprise, you guys, because everybody's been asking me about book 2. I'm finally just really figuring out a direction for it to go, because this book I originally started book 2 as fiction based on reality of my life in different relationships I had with the different rock stars, different things that happened that I don't go into in book 1, as I've read those in a couple episodes. I've read them, but I've also decided to take it in more, it's just changing, and I think I finally settled on the direction that I want to go with it. So got kind of really excited the other day and just sort of started. So book 2, I'm going to read what I have for the first chapter. You guys tell me down in the comments what you think so far. So, okay. The name of book 2, for those of you just joining in, is called And She Was. That's been my working title for a lot of years, because I thought that was a great follow-up to We've Got Tonight. Keeping it with the songs of our generation. All right, so chapter 1, Life in the Aftermath. Some people say you can't live the same wild ride twice. To them, I say, watch me. Hold my fucking beer. Because if rock and roll taught me anything, it's that the heart doesn't retire, the soul does not clock out, and the stories don't stop when you close the book. They burn hotter, faster, messier, daring you to pick up where you left off. I promised once that I'd be back after another adventure. Well, here I am, back in the fire, back in the noise, ready to tell you just how far love and madness can take a person when the music never lets go. And for me, the music will be ever present, hanging out casually on my shoulder, waiting to be introduced. Because eventually, it had to be. Before I wrote about it, I was written about. I was a shadowy figure in the most rock and roll death ever in the history of all the insane debauchery that ever was. They said I was there in the room when the legend crumbled, when the last chord rang out like a prayer to a broken God. I was blamed and celebrated in equal measure, though no one asked me what was true. And maybe the truth wasn't the point. It was the myth that mattered to them. What they didn't know, or maybe didn't care to, was that I was still just a girl trying to find her own reflection in the mirror of all that noise, all that mythology. I was trying to write the next chapter of my life and was rudely interrupted. The spotlight didn't land on me. It seared the people I loved and slaughtered me. I learned to live in the afterglow, scorched, but still alive. But then again, being alive is relative. When we can wander our days on this earth with zombie-like repetition, or we can live our lives. I was never one to be afraid to live, like really rip off the Band-Aid and fucking live. I swam in the depths most were too timid to dive into, too wrapped up into the overgrown satire of the backstage world. Sadly, it was a satire that finally brought me to my knees, the cruel punchline of one night that refused to fade, a walk of shame stretched into eternity that reared its ugly head regularly twice a year, setting me on pins and needles ready to defend my honor. I felt I could never escape the frustration, whether in the comment section or in my being. I couldn't even escape it from within my own family. There were judgments, decisions of who I was to become to fit into the fenced-in society that had wondered hypocritically about the likes of me. It set in motion the slow degradation of my being, the solid confidence in the woman that I was in totality, and not just the backstage pass, the headline, the stripper, the skank, as women like me who own their prowess are too often called without even a second thought. Not that anyone in my family called me that, not at all. They wanted to protect me, but maybe weren't sure how, and the only way they knew how was to put me into their comfort zone while ripping me confused away from mine. Time to grow up, they said, but I thought I had been in the process. I was planning to finish college in the UK. No, that wasn't growing up. That was a pipe dream, too good for a woman with my kind of background. I needed to distance myself from that background, from my personal self. I needed to conform. Conform to what exactly? Oops, looks like they twisted a little bit. All right, so where were we? Conform to what exactly? My family was fine with the wild child I had been my whole life. They were okay with my job and my social life. They knew it all along. But put it on the cover of the tabloids they see while standing in the grocery store, and enough is enough. But it was never enough for me, and telling them that their dreams are not exactly what I should be aiming for, that my own dreams are not exactly what I should be aiming for, is debilitating. Soul-crushing to find out the people you always thought encouraged and understood you really weren't seeing you. It only kept me knee-deep into the rock world. They saw me as I was, surely, right? So there you guys go. There is the very first one. It's not the full chapter yet. It's the first chapter of my second book. So I am working on it. I do have it coming along. It's gonna be a kind of a mixed bag of things. Like my outline right now is doing the first chapter, then kind of going into oh god, I have all the voice notes on my phone, but I'm going to go into my history, deeper into history with different relationships that I had. I'm going more deep into the history of my stripping career, of how I traveled with it, because I really don't even mention it other than I'm a stripper in my book. So definitely going into a lot of deeper stuff. If there's other stuff you'd like me to put in the book, again, talk in the comments. I'll try and work it in. I usually do. So, okay. Let's get going on the little list I have for today. Because living in Vegas, I lived there for 8 fucking years. 8 years. When Vegas was at its very last, very, very kind of rat pack kind of kind of lifestyle prime. You know, you still got dressed up for a night out and paraded around, and not with that heavy makeup, but just, you know, there's a meme of Marilyn Monroe and who's the other, Jane Russell from Some Like It Hot, or not Some Like It Hot, Gentlemen Prefer Blondes, where they're walking into the casino and they're just strutting their way in. That was me and my best friend in Vegas every fucking night. You could still drink for free, park for free. You know, the customer was king in Vegas. Now we're just a convenience that they need to make money off of. So, yeah, this is Vegas when people were mingling, and I'm telling you, I know everybody is like so sick of me talking about the Hard Rock, but I did not hang out anywhere else. I went to a couple clubs here and there, but wasn't my thing. I worked in loud music and stages and stuff like that, so I didn't want that when I went out. And the Hard Rock was perfect because yeah, there was music playing in the background, but there was people gambling, eating, talking, drinking, just wandering around, having a good time. And some of those people, you meet them and you're like, cool, and then they open their mouths and you're like, nope, not cool. And one of those people that I met was Wesley Snipes. I always thought he was hot. I thought, oh, he's good looking. And then out at the Hard Rock one night, and I see this guy gambling, and me and my friends just walk on by. We smile. I'm like, is that, or is that not? Yeah, it's definitely, you know. And I met him, and we just started talking and hanging out and stuff, and we had a couple drinks. And he was filming. I can't remember when he had just finished filming at the time, but we had a couple drinks, and he's like, I'm hungry. Let's go grab something to eat at Mr. Lucky's. Yeah, Mr. Lucky's, the cafe. And because at the time it was open to, you could sit at Mr. Lucky's and just watch everybody, and they had a really good veggie burger and a portobello mushroom burger. But so we were sitting there eating, and I was having so much fun with him. Like, he was so nice to the dealers and stuff, just really cool, just hanging out, just super nice, given that Wesley Snipes smile, kind of that same personality he had in Waiting to Exhale. But then when we went to Mr. Lucky's, dude, like, what the fuck happened? And no, you're gonna go get me a bottle of fucking that Dom Perignon. They're like, but we can't, you know, we do have that, but no, it's gonna be comped, it's gonna be on my tab, this and that. But they're like, we're okay. And he just was so degrading and yelling and screaming at the waitresses and the cocktail waitresses. It just turned me off. Like, I seriously got up, was like, I gotta go to the bathroom. And the bathroom was out in the casino, and the casino is where I walked and stayed. I was just like, what the fuck? And he was like, and then he came up to me afterwards, like 45 minutes later. I guess he ate. I guess he got tired of waiting. It's like, well, good thing I didn't wait for you to eat, because he found me. He like searched me out at the center bar where I was, and I was refreshing my champagne. And he's like, you can put this on my tab the rest of the night, just, you know, show you what you're missing out on. I was like, no, it's quite all right. I drink here for free. I don't need your tab. And he just got very degrading, because it's like, sorry that turned me off, but you were so hideous to. And then I heard the rest of the time he was in Vegas, it was like 4 or 5 days, that at other clubs that he went to, that he was so rude there too. Like, he was just an asshole to everybody. So dodged a bullet on that one. Thank God I didn't hang out with Wesley Snipes the rest of the night. All it took was 10 minutes sitting at that Mr. Lucky's cafe waiting to order my veggie burger and fries, to be like, nope, this is not someone I want to hang around. You're just rude, dude. You're just rude. Like, he was calling him names. One of the waitresses went back and cried and sent another guy out. And he was even mean to him. And the guy kind of, I don't know what happened, because I left once the guy came out and he started being rude to him. I was just like, nope, I'm out. See ya. Bye. Not so good looking to me anymore. That ugly inside of you came out. And speaking of ugly on the inside, woof. Corey Feldman, I am sorry. He is so fucked up, messed up, just like a bull in a china shop of psychoses and needing more fucking help that he will never get. You know what I mean? I don't even remember who I was with. We were at the Hard Rock, you know, center bar. And I was with some band, and we were hanging out and just talking. And he like knew one of the roadies that was with the band. And he was introduced to me, and I said, nice to meet you. Love the Lost Boys. And he was just looked at me. He's like, I know, it's so great to meet me, isn't it? He's like, for a person like you, I'm sure it's the highlight of your life. And he just turned and looked away, and I was like, fuck you, dude. And he just looked at me and goes, fuck me? I go, yeah. And I remember whoever I was with, just like, no, don't you speak to her like that. She's not some star fucker. He's like, no, this is my girl. He's like, don't you ever fucking... And we just walked off. I don't even remember who it was. I remember Cousin Amy was with me. Because I don't give a fuck who you are. I am not sparkled by your fame. That to me is a detriment. You know, I'm not sparkled by that. I'm sparkled by the person you are on the inside, obviously, or else I would have had Wesley Snipes in my mouth, which it never was, right? So, and he was just mean and hideous, and I don't know if he was having an off night, but he was like, yeah, I'm sorry. If I could just run away, bitch, as I was walking away with my guy and my friends and the road crew and stuff, excuse me. And I remember Chattels, the bartender at the Hard Rock that knew me, and Jimmy, one of the bartenders, were just like, hey, no, if you're going to talk to her like that, you go. He's like, she's respected, you know, and they did. They asked him to leave. They're like, you just go to the other bar on the other side. I did not see him the rest of the night. I never met him again, but the energy that he gave off was just like rude. It was just so twisted. Like you could see he was so disturbed by things in his life that he was in denial and that he was holding on to for his identity. It was such a clash within himself. It's just pure anger. And then he ends up at the Who the other night in LA at the Hollywood Bowl. There's Corey Feldman back fucking stage. Just like I said, and I believe he was still like heavy using drugs at the time. I don't know if he ever really quit, but he says he's sober. But yeah, just a fucking hideous person. He did not even have to open up his mouth for me to feel that vibe of he thinks he's so fucking phenomenal. He thinks so highly of himself when, I'm sorry, I think he's a joke. He was in a few good films like, let's face it, Goonies. He was fucking awesome in Goonies. We loved him in Goonies. You know, Ralph Mouth, just really fucking cool, but... And Lost Boys, of course we loved him. But he was just a dick in person. Sorry that whatever you went through in your life, you went through, but don't take it out on people around you. Better help is taking patients 24/7. Yeah, that's what I thought back then. And then another one we're not surprised at, that I've done a whole episode on, that I met in Vegas that I did not like, was Dennis Rodman. Just degrading, rude, expectatious, filthy, just, ugh, no. And I had already heard about him because my cousin played college ball with Luke Longley. And Luke Longley was part of the team when it was the Dream Team with Dennis Rodman, Michael Jordan, you know, all those good players. And Luke Longley played on the Bulls at the time. And hated Rodman. But at least Rodman would share the same dressing room. He just was very arrogant and would, like, if it wasn't for me and Jordan, you guys wouldn't be here type of thing. Like, he's like, and I'm even better than Jordan. And Jordan would never even share the same dressing room. He had to have his own dressing room. And in Vegas was known as Horton Jordan. Sorry, you guys. This time of year, like Utah, my allergies are the worst of the worst of the worst. And when in the fall and summer, or the end of summer, they just get hideous. So I'm sorry if I'm sneezing and coughing all over the place. But anyway, so... in Vegas, Michael Jordan was known as Horton Jordan because he would not even tip anybody. So you've got these two big egos from the Bulls, Dennis Rodman being one of them. And if there's, like I said, I did a whole episode on his filming of the first episode of his MTV show Around the World with Dennis Rodman. So you guys will find out why. Go watch the episode. I'll put the link down in the description. But... Just a horrible, egotistical person who had only one purpose, thinks women in Vegas, especially strippers, only have one purpose. Yeah. No, no, honey, those are hookers. They have that purpose, not strippers. Big difference. Proven that legally. Anyway, so Dennis Rodman was not a good person. I still don't like him. And he's even like faded into obscurity and still needs attention by being a dick. This is a man who didn't pay his child support to his first wife, and she had to go on Pawn Stars to sell his college basketball and stuff for their kid to go to college, because what a deadbeat that man is. Doesn't surprise me. Like I said, my cousin went to college with Luke Longley, and I heard all the stories when he was playing from the Bulls. So yeah, not my finest experiences in Vegas. And another one that was really not a good experience. I think I was hanging out with, I can't even remember. I know I was hanging out with someone. I think it was these two guys that I used to know. Oh my God. I know their name. It's just escaping me. But we were hanging out with these two guys, and they happened to know this comedian at the time who was at his prime, just coming out, just doing his first show ever in Vegas. And they happened to stop by and was talking to me and the two guys, and Crazy Lisa was my roommate at the time. And yeah, stopped by. It was Carrot Top, and they introduced me. I go, "Oh, nice to meet you." He's like, "Yeah, I know, I'm the Wendy's lady." I'm like, "Dude, I didn't even fucking say anything. I just said nice to meet you, as I would anybody, because that's common courtesy when you get introduced to someone." Yeah. Bart, that was the name of one of the guys that was hanging out. They were so cute. They called me from the plane. They're like, "Hey, we had so much fun last weekend. We're coming back. Meet us down at the Hard Rock in 2 hours." I'm like, "Okay, cool. I'll be there." And this was the actual night. And yeah, so he was just so horrible, like talking. And I was like, "Whatever." I go, "Whatever, girl." I said, "Whatever, girl, you do you." And he got so mad that I called him girl. I'm like, "Well, the 80s bomb and all. Looking more like looking more like a," what did I say to him? I said, "Looking more like Chucky meets Chucky Madonna had a kid. 80s Madonna had a kid," or something like that. Ooh, that just pissed him off. But dude, I don't give a fuck who you are. And this is a man who, after Vincent Paul had Vinny's, before Dime was unalived, by Nathan Gale. And then there was Vinny after that time. And Vinny after that time, if you ask me, the people he was hanging around sucked the fucking life out of him. Just like Carrot Top, yeah, he had his own show in Vegas for a lot of years, but let's face it, he's slipped into obscurity. And by the time Vinny moved to Las Vegas, Carrot Top was a has-been. Like, he was still under contract, but his shows were waiting and waiting. Nobody gave a fuck about his stupid jokes anymore. I saw him once. I thought he was hilarious, and that was like 2 weeks later that I met him. And it was just like, or it was a couple months before that I met him. But anyway, did I see him before? No, I saw him before. 8 years in Vegas, man. But yeah, later on, he became one of Vinny's closest friends. And he just brought out... It's almost like he was using Vin to still be relevant in Vegas, because Vin was new to the scene in Vegas, and Pantera is always going to be relevant, right? So he was just one of the many hangers on, like Video Bob and all these people that were, I just feel like, kind of usurped. And I could be wrong about a couple people, I don't know, but just my outside opinion. And the way Vinny talked, and the way I saw him being this totally different fake ass guy around people that during his Vegas years with like Carrot Top and stuff. This was the crowd that just usurped the life right out of him, usurped the decency, just used him. They weren't true friends to him at all. And Vincent Paul, once he got around these people after Dime, he just became a totally different person. Just so different. Vincent Paul, like, he would be cool with these guys, but he wouldn't give them his home phone number. And then they became just like everything, like, just, yeah. But Carrot Top, just a fucking asshole. Absolute fucking asshole. And then another one, we're going to end it up, yeah, we're going to end this up with two back-to-back magicians. We'll start with the one that was unknown when I met him. Again, walking through the Hard Rock. Minding my own business. My friend and cousin Amy and I, and my friend Robin, she was in town dancing. She was from California, would come in every so often, stay at my place. But we were all cruising around the Hard Rock, had gone to the bathroom, we're going around for our second or third glass of champagne, and walking back, and all of a sudden I turn, and this guy just comes up to me, and he just grabs me, like, turns me to him, and he's like, "Hi." He's like, I saw you earlier. He's like, I just didn't even think I'd ever get a chance to say hello to you. You're very social. I was like, oh, you've been watching me, have you, man? He's like, yeah. He's like, I'm a magician that's going to be really famous one day. He's like, I swear. And he was just that New Jersey, mama's boy, Italian, sicky sweet, ego, fluffed Italian mommy boy ego, right? And it was Chris Angel. And he gave me his card. And he's like, here, you should call me. And he was fucking married at the time too. He didn't tell people in Vegas for years that he was married. Like a lot of people didn't know because he was out there womanizing. And I was one of the first he tried with. And I was like, oh, thanks. I go, well, I don't know if I'll call you or not. I said, because he's like, well, do you care if we join you? I'm like, no, we're busy. We're having a girls' night, you know. And I was just kind of talking to him, introduced myself. And he's like, yeah, I'm Chris Angel. Here's my card. And so I just threw it in my little purse. I said, okay, maybe I'll call you. I said, but really, honestly, I said, I like musicians, not magicians. And I turned around and walked off and just kind of gave him a smirk, because you can do that, you know, in your Vegas years when you're hot and young, and anybody can do that. You can be a bitch. And I just didn't like that. I'm not about all that, you know, Jersey boy, mama's boy aesthetic. It works for some people, you know, that like to take care of their men like that. And I do too, but don't get me wrong, but I just don't need someone who's ego driven, really. And Chris Angel was 100% like, you could tell he was fake sick sweet. You know how guys are like assholes, but then they get around a girl that they find hot and they want to impress her. So they're like, hey, baby. Hi, sweetheart. I'm a real sweet guy. I'm sensitive. I have my females. I'm in touch with my female feelings. In touch with my female. So I can touch your female feelings. Like, oh, fuck off, dude. Fuck off. It's all be, you know, it's that fake aesthetic that they change from a hot chick to someone else around the corner 2 seconds later. And you can see that in Chris Angel. And good for him. He became famous. Good for him. And I had that card for years, and I had it in the top drawer of my dresser where I just threw all these cards and stuff, and finally threw it out one day after I moved back to Salt Lake. And then let's wrap it up with the magician that we all know that I just was like, really? So Danny had a friend working for this magician, because roadies, a lot of them lived in Florida at the time. Florida and Vegas are big places for roadies to live, apparently Michigan. But so she had a friend that was working for David Copperfield. And I was like, oh, I'd love to see him. I have never seen David Copperfield. It would be so cool to see him, you know? So she got in touch with the roadie. Yeah, put her on the guest list, me plus one. And I ended up going by myself because my cousin Amy, my best friend from Vegas, didn't go that night. And I can't remember why. She wasn't feeling good or had a date with her boyfriend that she had just met. Something. So I ended up going by myself, you know? And I loved watching the show. I love magic shows like that. I thought it was fun. And I was set at this table, and strategically, and I saw all this stuff. He's like, oh, you're going to be here for a reason. And the reason was, in the middle of the show, when he's doing one of his teleportation magic tricks, poof, he just popped up in front of me on the stage. And really, you guys, I don't know how he did it. And the roadie, I believe his name was Mike. He's like, do you want me to tell you? I'm like, no, I really don't want to know. Because like, there was nothing. There was a little X there, and that was it. Like a little black X you would see for someone to know their mark, right? So no idea. All of a sudden, smoke, poof, there's David Copperfield. And he got his back to me at first, and then he turns around to look at the crowd behind me, because I'm like right in the middle level on this little 2-person table just by myself. And he turns around and he grabs my hand and he kisses it. And he's like, very lovely to meet you. I'm so glad you could join us tonight, Allison, because, he had to approve his guest list. And Mike was like, oh yeah, she's cool, whatever. And I was like, nice, cool, thank you. And it was just cool. And watching the rest of the show when he was doing his, I'm going to poof, you're gone, and you're letting up on a beach in the Bahamas. Like, that was his final trick. So I was like, hey, Mike, do you want to meet after the show? We'll go have a drink. I'll buy you dinner, whatever, blah, blah, blah. And he was like, yeah, maybe. He's like, I'm kind of tired. I may just go up and sleep. But yeah, definitely come backstage because David Copperfield wants to meet you. And so I was like, okay, cool, whatever. I don't think I'm hot, but I just, sometimes personalities just draw people in, and I think I'm one of those personalities because I just don't, I like to get to know people and let people reveal themselves rather than having a preconceived notion. So maybe that's what's attractive about me, because I'm not trying to be like, oh, every one of these guys in here hit on me because I'm so fucking hot. No, that's not me, honey. I didn't write fucking what's her name, Rita Ray Rox's book. No, I didn't write that book. Anyway, so I go backstage and I get taken into this dressing room, this little area, like a seating area, and then there's another private dressing room beyond it. And this is at the MGM Grand. So he comes out, and Mike, and there's other people hanging around, getting autographs, kind of just doing the meet and greet, the VIP visa thing, you could tell. And I don't even have a pass or anything. I just am walking in, and I was like, hey, and there's the people that he had on stage signing, disclosures, non-disclosures and stuff. But I think they're with him. But anyway, and he comes over, he's like, so nice to meet you. He's like, wasn't that fun me appearing in front of your table? I was like, yeah, it was really fun. You gonna take me to islands? I don't want to go to islands with you. But anyway, he was again very that egotistically false charming on the same way as Chris Angel was. And just that putting it on like 100%, like spilling the sauce on the floor and licking it up. The hoping I would lick it up, but no, I didn't buy it. But the second I was like, he was so flirty. He was very like enigmatic. There was a sexiness to him, but I really just wasn't into him. It was kind of a Neil Diamond situation. It was really cool to meet him, and I really enjoyed the show. I had a good time, and I was really more thankful. I was really more worried about the guy who put me on the guest list, not the person that was in this dressing room. And I just didn't get that chemistry with David Copperfield. But the second I was like, you know what, I would love to, I said, but I really should be getting home. I would like to meet up with Mike, have a quick drink with him, and I have school in the morning because I was going to college, studying art history at the time, and I was in school Monday through Thursdays. So I was like, no, I've got to be at college in the morning, and blah, blah, blah. He's like, well, that's just a load, isn't it? And he just became so mean and so like, he's like, you're never gonna have the opportunity like this again. He's like, because trust me, I'm magic. And like, basically in a few words, I'm magic in so many ways. It's like, you're about as magic as the flavor Kip Winger left in my mouth, dude. I don't think so. And he just became a dick once he was rejected. And then this is before the scandal that he was, if anybody remembers his ex-girlfriend or ex-fiance, there was a whole scandal about him doing drugs and going in the spiral on his island that he owns and stuff. I mean, it was just like, look it up. I can't even remember who it was, but it was his ex-fiance or something. And he just became this fucking psychotic dick. I saw the tip of the iceberg. Just the tip that night. Absolutely total dick. Absolute asshole. So, yeah, just because they're magicians does not mean they are magically wonderful, delicious. Because he had a cute ass when it appeared in front of my table, and I seriously thought about it because I'm a man eater, and fuck, it's David Copperfield. Why not? He wasn't a bad looking guy, but he was after he opened his mouth. So he was another Wesley Snipes. So bleh. So tell me if anybody who you've met down there, tell me who was the worst person you ever met in the comments. Let me know. And let me know how you guys like the first chapter of my new book. But thank you guys getting to the end of the episode as always. You guys rock. I really enjoy just seeing everybody that's, whether you're commenting or not, I can see who's watching, I can see who's here, and it really does bring my heart happy because I see all these different faces and I love it. So thank you guys for always listening, for always having fun with me. Truly, truly means a lot. And if you're just wondering about, come on, join the family. Hit that subscribe. Let's get me to 10,000. We're inching our way there. And we're having fun doing it. So thank you guys as always. So hit the share button, hit the subscribe, hit my bells, and we'll see you next time on Cocktails and Rocktails. Cheers, big ears.